welcome back to my channel. Today, I am going to be sharing with you some of my favorite makeup brushes for every step in your everyday makeup routine. This is not all of my brushes. This is a good kind of like selection or my top picks from both more high-end and affordable. So if you are interested, stay tuned and let's jump into the video. So first, let's start off with foundation brushes. And I don't always use a brush. Sometimes I use a sponge, sometimes I use my fingers. But a lot of times I will use a mix of like fingers, brush, and a sponge. And that's just to kind of get the foundation look that I personally like. Start off with my favorite, and you'll notice a few of my brushes are also in these like little guards, which I will talk about in a little bit. My favorite brush from high-end for foundation, which is actually a great 2-in-1, is the IT Cosmetics Heavenly Luxe No. 7. This is a nice like little buffing foundation brush, and you have a nice end that's larger for foundation on one side, and then a smaller side, which is great for kind of detailed concealing work under the eye, around the nose, anywhere you need more precision. So this is a great foundation and concealer brush. Drugstore, I love this one. This is a newer find and I cannot put this down whether I'm doing more of a high-end makeup look or a more affordable makeup look. This is the e.l.f. Beautifully Precise Airbrush Blender Brush, and you can see it's got a nice curved edge. It's got some density, but it still has some flexibility to it. I really love this, and it's just really great for kind of painting. You can feather down the neck if you've got a color that isn't quite right. It is a really great brush, and I believe it's under the $10 price point. I also mentioned that I like sponges. Now, sponges for me, it's very rare a sponge is my primary form of application because I like it more for detailing and pressing product. And it's the Sonia Kashuk sponge, and I got this when I was in the US last time. I got it from Target, and I believe you get 2 of them for $10. Really great sponge. I also like the Beauty Blender, Real Techniques, the Morphe Sponge. To be honest, there's very few makeup sponges I have tried and haven't liked. Right now, this is what I've got, and I'm loving it. I also do not buy the official Beauty Blender very often because these, you need to clean your sponge every time you use it. You have to be thrown out every 3 months, and I can't even remember how much a Beauty Blender is off the top of my head. Somewhere between like, I think it's around $20 or $22. Could be wrong, but I have to throw that away every 3 months, so I like something that's a little bit more affordable just so I don't feel so pained when I throw it away. Japonesque Fluff Concealer Brush. I have mine from a duo set. The regular version, which I'll have linked, it has a longer black handle. It's just a great concealer brush for kind of buffing out. And some people don't like to apply with this, but the way I like to apply concealer is I'll normally put it on the back of my hand and then dot it around and then use a brush, my finger, or a sponge to kind of smooth out the area. So I like brushes like this that are going to kind of give you more of a diffuse look. My big concern for my under eyes is hollowness as well as fine lines, and something like this, when I can kind of press and smooth it out, it will kind of help diffuse the look of the product a little bit more, and it's less likely to cause settling. So this is one of my favorites, and this is the Japonesque Fluff Concealer Brush. Another one I like, and this is a great multitasking brush, this is the Real Techniques Setting Brush. It's got a very kind of similar shape to the Japonesque. This is a little bit bigger, so if you've got a very small under eye area, it's not the best, so I would go for the Japonesque, but this is great. You can use this to buff out under the eye. I also love this brush for kind of setting powder and like kind of mattifying areas I want, and even highlighting. I think I have about 7 of these brushes, and I love them. Great brushes. When I have an area that I need to conceal, like a blemish, pigmentation, I like very small brushes so I can do more detailed work. So I actually like this. This is a Real Techniques eyeliner brush. Another one I love is I love brushes like this. So you can barely see, it's teeny tiny. Got this, I believe, at Michael's Arts and Crafts store, but I like these small, like little brushes. So if there's a blemish or something I need to conceal, I can just kind of get in there, pinpoint it, tap it out. These are great because I don't like a lot of product on a blemish. I like something very, very small, so I can kind of scribble it on, go around the edges, tap it out. This does take longer, but your concealer will never look better. Real Technique's very similar. Like you can see it's slightly bigger, so you can kind of scribble it on a little bit easier. This brush actually comes in a set, which you will see a few more of the brushes I love from this set later. My likes for a powder brush changes fairly frequently. I like a larger powder brush unless I need to do detailed work, then I'll use something like that Real Technique setting brush. And I like a big brush so I can get it on and work with it. And I like my powder brushes both to work for finishing powders, setting powders, and powder foundation. My absolute favorite is my Lemare powder brush. I've had this brush for several years now. It's still perfect. It's still incredibly soft. It is expensive. I believe it's around $100 or $105 here in Canada. It's just a wonderful brush, and if you take care of it, it will last you a lifetime. On the opposite end of the spectrum is this one by Sonia Kashuk. This is a large powder brush. Mine's not as fluffy. It's kind of damp where I washed it. And I want to keep it upside down so no water gets into the ferrule, because that will run your brushes. So try to dry them upside down. We'll talk more about washing them shortly. But you can kind of see they are both large. When this is dry and it's fluffed out, it has a very similar shape. But these are great for kind of packing on powder, buffing out powder, or even applying like mineral foundations. You can apply it very quickly and very easily. So I love a large powder brush like this. I use the same brushes, and both of these brushes I have multiples of because they are both really good. And for this section, I am talking about highlight and contour. I like very small brushes so I can get very detailed with my application, because I feel like with contour, when you apply too much, it can look very kind of muddy and dirty. And then with highlighter, if you apply too much over too big of an area, you can emphasize texture, you can make the skin look less pretty than what you're aiming for. So I like a smaller, more detailed brush. And I also like what they're called almost candlestick brushes. So they have a long bristles, and they're just kind of very flimsy and flexible, which are great for kind of hollowing out the face. Charlotte Tilbury Powder and Sculpt brush. It's just a really good one. You can really kind of get in, kind of chisel everything out, blend. Great one. And one I love from the drugstore is the Wet n Wild highlighting brush. This is a newer one to my collection, but when I started trying this, I fell in love with it, and I've ordered more. That's the one thing I like about affordable brushes is if you love it, it's not going to break the bank if you order a few of them. And I like to have multiples of one brush, especially when I was freelance, because I need a different set of brushes for every client, because I do not have time to wash and clean my brushes between clients. So if I love a brush, I get multiples. You can see it's got a very kind of similar shape, a little bit smaller, a little bit more compact. So this is great if you want to do a very detailed contour. So brushes like this, I like to kind of press in and angle up, so that way as I blend, the product moves upward to create more of a lifted shadow effect. So highlight and contour, you want to kind of put it in the area and blend to where it keeps it but looks more natural. So these more candle-like stick brushes I love for highlight and contour. I want to interject now. If you've watched some of my other videos or my IGTVs, you will have seen me use these brushes more than likely, and you'll notice that one brush I talk about using for bronzer or something like that, I will use for applying foundation or blush or something like that. My brushes, I am showing you them in kind of my preferred method or my ideal method if I was going to be selling you a product. But for me, what brush I grab depends on the day and depends on the look I'm going for. So this is just a general guideline of what brush I like for which application step, but brushes are really personal preference. You kind of have to kind of play with a few and figure out what you like to use each brush for. Next, bronzer brushes. So both mine are freshly washed, and I've got them, they're little guards. I have the MAC 150. You've seen me use this brush multiple times for powder foundation. This is a great brush for any type of powder product, but I love it for bronzer because it's bigger, so I can get in there, bronze up a larger area very quickly, and where it's kind of flimsy and flexible, it gives a very soft wash, so you don't have to worry about having like a brown stripe when you're applying your bronzer. For the drugstore one, I love the Real Techniques powder brush, or actually, they call this the blush brush. I've never actually used this for blush because for me, it's just too big, and like for me, that takes up the whole apple of my cheek. You could definitely use this for blush, but I like this more for powder and bronzer applications because it's bigger, it's more kind of like flimsy. I love flimsy brushes for the most part because they just give you a softer wash, and I rather build up products than have to worry about taking it off product, because trying to remove product after you apply it is very difficult. It's taking me a long time to find a blush brush I love, because my favorite one, which I purchased many years ago by Sonia Kashuk, is discontinued, and there isn't one that is spot on. So my most current favorite is the Cosmetics French Boutique Blush Brush. It's a nice fluffy angled brush. I like that it's not it's flimsy like all of my other brushes I love, but this one I can kind of hug and kind of do a broader application, or if I want something thinner, I can kind of go like this. So I like that I can kind of use in two different directions, and I like a good multitasking brush. So It Cosmetics French Boutique Blush Brush is my high-end favorite, and my affordable favorite is the Morphe x Jaclyn Hill JH04. Great one. This comes in a set, so most of the set's really good. The one that they have for bronzer, I talked about in another video, it's just not a love for me. It sheds and it's kind of scratchy. But the blush brush, you can buy it individually. It's a wonderful brush. I love this brush. It's so soft. You can kind of hug the apples, get detailed in there, turn it sideways for a thinner application. It's very similar to the It brush, it's just a little bit slimmer, so you can get more detailed, or if you have a smaller face than I do, this is a great brush. Section, I don't have a lot of alternatives just because a lot of the brushes I love are all affordable, and this is our eye section. We're talking about the Morphe x Jaclyn Hill collection, and Morphe and Jaclyn Hill have a eye brush set, which is really good. I bought these originally in the eye brush set, and I bought a few more of them in the individuals. And I just love how small they are, and they are dirty because I used them today. So you have like a flat kind of like liner brush or a buffing brush. You have a small pencil brush, which is great for kind of hugging the lash line, smoking things out. And then you have this small, like more like detailed crease brush. So I like this because I can get in there and really kind of blend out my darkest color for my crease. It's just a really great one, and I also like this brush a lot for lips. So if I want to apply more of a stained lip, I'll use it to kind of buff on a color and keep it nice and soft. The Morphe M330, so this is a large crease brush. So I like this brush for kind of blending out my socket line, going really smoky on the lower lash line. Also great for contouring the nose, contouring around the lip. If you want a really intense contour, you can use this, but be very careful, it's intense. Or if I'm in a pinch, I can use it to powder. I can use it to highlight. I love these kind of tapered crease brushes. And my previous favorite was a MAC, oh goodness, I forget my numbers. It was either a MAC 224 or a 217, but very similar, softer than the new version that MAC has, and it's cheaper. Love this brush, and this is the Morphe M330 Techniques brush I mentioned, which was this one, the liner brush. I mentioned this in my concealer section. I said this comes in a set, so the other two I love from that set, which the whole set's really good, but these three are my favorite from the set. I love this one. It is just a flat shader brush. You can use this for concealer. You can use this to kind of like press powder when you need it. I like it to shade the lid very easily. If you want to, you can also use it kind of like this to kind of buff out a color. So if you're doing like a simple one color eyeshadow look, you can kind of apply it like this all over the eye and use the edge to kind of buff it. Great, nice synthetic brush that you can use with powders or creams. And it's just really good for laying down color and softening out. A simple, essential brush in my collection. And the other one I love is something a lot of people don't talk about, but I like this. This is a metal eyelash comb. So when I put mascara on, I like to comb through because I do not like clumps in my lashes. So I'll use something like this to go through and break up any clumps. And that way I have a more feathery lash look, which I personally really enjoy. With eye brushes, it can be a little bit confusing because a lot of people don't know what step to use what brush in. So I'll break it down real quick and make it very simple. So this large Real Techniques brush, this is great for putting your base color on. You can put it on all over, and I will use the same brush twice. So you can use one side of your brush to kind of pat on your base color, and then flip it over, use something a little bit darker or shimmery to put on the color on your eyelid. Something like this, which is the Morphe M330, to put a color in my crease. I normally use this with like my bronzer and put this through my crease, a little bit smaller like this one, and get the darkest shade in my crease. And this is like my eye contour brush to really kind of shape and define the eyes. I use this small one to kind of go through, smoke out my upper lash, or kind of add some depth to the outer corner, or go really smoky on my lower lash line. And then I like this brush. Now you could use something that's straight like this, or one that is more angled like this. Really personal preference. I like both, I use both, but this is great for kind of going through, doing your eyeliner work. You can create a nice sharp little wing with it. But these are great. I also like them using powder eyeshadow to kind of go through and buff out a color as a liner. I'm gonna share with you how I clean my brushes, because cleaning your brushes is probably the most essential step in maintaining your brushes, because it doesn't matter, in my opinion, if you spend a lot of money on a brush or you spend not much money on a brush, you want your brush to last. And if you don't take care of your brushes, your makeup application isn't gonna be as good as you want it to be. So let me show you some of my favorite ways to clean and maintain your brushes. I wash my brushes. So for me, let's say for instance, Saturday or Sunday, I will grab all of the brushes I want to use for the next week out of my kind of brush closet. It's not a whole closet. Like I have a small like set of drawers that I keep brushes in. But I'll grab those, that way I only have one set of brushes, because most people only have one set of brushes. Not everyone is a person who works in makeup for a living with way too many brushes. And if you do have a lot of brushes, it can be very overwhelming to see all of your brushes and they're dirty, and it's not a fun experience. So keep your brushes clean, they will last longer. So my kind of in-between brush cleanings is a color switch, and this is the one from Sephora collection in Vera Mona. And this is great. So if you've got like a brush with a powder on it that's dirty, you can just kind of wipe it off here, and it will let you use a different color, so that way you don't have to clean between each use. So these are great, and I believe this is around 20 bucks, so great, last a lifetime. For at the end of the day, so when I finish off my makeup application, because my skin is prone to breaking out, but it's also good practice to practice hygiene, good brush hygiene. And I like using the Cinema Secrets brush cleaner. So I use this every single day after I finish my makeup application. So I use this to spot clean my brushes between uses. And then once a week, I do a thorough brush clean. And with that, I just take like a little, like a little plate or something, a little bit of blue Dawn dish soap with a drop of olive oil. And you can just take it, kind of wipe your brush around, massage it. Always also hold your brushes upright so you do not get any type of liquid into the ferrule. So a little bit of brush anatomy. You have your bristles, your ferrule, and your handle. You want, when you go to clean your brushes, you want these bristles to be the only thing you get wet, or else if water gets in here, they will fall apart. And you don't want to run your investment by getting it wet when it's easily avoidable. Hold your brush upright. Use your dish soap and water mixture, kind of wash it around, go like this. I like to take my fingers and gently massage it and just get all the product out. And then you might ask why I use dish soap and olive oil. And that's just because when I was in school, I took a watercolor class, and to clean our watercolor brushes and our oil painting brushes, you need to use oil to break up the product. So the oil will break up the cream and all the other makeups in your brush, and it will also help condition them. So it keeps them nice and soft. So a lot of my brushes, like you've seen in other videos, I've got my original Real Techniques brushes from 2011. I've got MAC brushes from 2008. So I've got brushes that are over a decade old and are still as good as the day I bought them, if not better. And it's just all about how you take care of them. So got my brush nice and clean. I've gently squeezed the water out. I then use these. These are brush guards. I get them off Amazon. I think you get 50 for around 10 bucks, $6 or $10. So you take your little brush guard, slip it over, and then just pull it down. And what this is gonna do, it's gonna keep your brush in kind of the original shape that was made in. So this way you don't have to worry about washing your brush and then your brush gets all big and puffy. This keeps it in shape so it stays as good as it was the day you got it. So I've mentioned a few times the importance of keeping the brush upside down so you don't get any water in the ferrule. And some people might wonder how to do that. So I love these. I've talked about these in some of my haul videos over on Instagram. I love these like little brush trees. So you can see after I wash my brushes, I turn them upside down, put their guards on, and put them in this like little brush tree. So little base, and it just sits on your table like this. So this way they dry upside down, all the water runs out of them, and it keeps your brushes lasting for a long time. Like here it is, one of my original Real Techniques brushes from when their brand first launched. I believe that was 2011. And just take care of your brushes, dry them. And I believe this brush rack I got off Amazon also for like $8 or $9, and I'll have everything linked below. I hope this sheds some light on what brush to use for each step in your routine. I hope that was helpful, and if you have any types of questions or comments, or if you have anything else you want to know about makeup brushes, please let me know. I'm always open to questions. You can either email me, my email address is below, or leave me a message or message me on Instagram, and I will do my best to answer everyone's questions. So I hope that was helpful. Thank you for spending some time with me today, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.